Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Young and Global. Welcome to the Faculty of Engineering. We are part of the Muhammadiyah Development Center and play a role in the engineering field. Currently, we are developing technology and global-oriented innovation through developing cooperation to an international level based on Islamic values for the benefit of the people. Through education, we develop students to become excellent and Islamic graduate, and we do research and community service professionally. We are also a medium for students to develop an entrepreneurial spirit. Have adequate facility and professional teaching staff to support the lecture process. We will always create technology that is oriented toward the benefit of the people, to improve the people's welfare and create the developed society. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Young and Global. Welcome to the Faculty of Engineering. We are part of the Muhammadiyah Development Center and play a role in the engineering field. Currently, we are developing technology and global-oriented innovation through developing cooperation to an international level based on Islamic values for the benefit of the people. Through education, we develop students to become excellent and Islamic graduate, and we do research and community service professionally. We are also a medium for students to develop an entrepreneurial spirit. Have adequate facility and professional teaching staff to support the lecture process. Yogyakarta. Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Young and global. Welcome to the Faculty of Engineering. We are part of the Muhammadiyah Development Center and play a role in the engineering field. Currently, we are developing technology and global-oriented innovation through developing cooperation to an international level based on Islamic values for the benefit of the people. Through education, we develop students to become excellent and Islamic graduates, and we do research and community service professionally. We are also a medium for students to develop an entrepreneurial spirit. Have adequate facility and professional teaching staff to support the lecture process. We will always create technology that is oriented toward the benefit of the people, to improve the people's welfare and create the developed society. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Young and Global. Welcome to the Faculty of Engineering. We are part of the Muhammadiyah Development Center, play a role in the engineering field. Currently, we are developing technology and global-oriented innovation through developing cooperation to an Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Young and Global. Welcome to the Faculty of Engineering. We are part of the Muhammadiyah Development Center and play a role in the engineering field. Currently, we are developing technology and global-oriented innovation through developing cooperation to an international level based on Islamic values for the benefit of the people. Through education, we develop students to become excellent and Islamic graduate, and we do research and community service professionally. We are also a medium for students to develop an entrepreneurial spirit. Have adequate facility and professional teaching staff to support the lecture process. We will always create technology that is oriented toward the benefit of the people, to improve the people's welfare and create the developed society. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Young and Global. welcome to the Faculty of Engineering. We are part of the Muhammadiyah Development Center and play a role in the engineering field. Currently, we are developing technology and global-oriented innovation through developing cooperation to an international level based on Islamic values for the benefit of the people. Through education, we develop students to become excellent and Islamic graduate, and we do research and community service professionally. We are also a medium for students to develop an entrepreneurial spirit. We have adequate facility and professional teaching staff to support the lecture process.
Haris.
Tahu ini gua nggak mau kasih ke gua. Canda lu, saya lu ya, gua serius lucu sih, lucu. Itu udahannya bercandanya, ini bentar lagi ketemu.
Kamu rana sing padahal nama gue. Beli makanan wartegnya tuh kayak
Halo, Intan. Sudah bisa dimulai, Intan? Oke.
Halo, Assalamualaikum. Apa suara saya terdengar?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Your Excellency, the keynote speaker, Associate Professor Insinyur Dr. Nur Asidimat Isa from University Science Malaysia. Your Excellency, the Dean and Faculty of Engineering of University of Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Associate Professor Insinyur Aris Widyonugroho, PhD. Your Excellency, the Head of Department Electrical Engineering, University of Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Associate Professor Dr. Ramadhani Syahputra. The Honorable, the Chairperson of First International Conference on Electronic and Electrical Engineering and Intelligence System, ICE3IS, and Second International Conference on Information Technology, Advanced Mechanical and Electrical Engineering, ICI-TAMEE, Dr. Yesi Jusman, ST-MSc. The Honorable, all faculty members of the engineering and all the ICE3IS and ICI-TAMEE 2022 and all participants of webinar conference today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First of all, praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given us His mercy and blessing, so we can in this room today in a healthy condition and attend the webinar pre-conference of International Conference on Electronic and Electrical Engineering and Intelligence System, ICE3IS 2022 at University of Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Secondly, salawat and salam may always be present to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us from darkness to the lightness. Ladies and gentlemen, on this wonderful day, please allow me to start our agenda today by reciting Bismillah together and continue for Tilawatil Quran. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
The second agenda is sing the national anthem of Indonesia Raya and March Sang Surya. Ladies and gentlemen, please be listening. The third agenda is the welcoming speech and opening ceremony from the Dean of Faculty of Engineering, Associate Professor Insinyur Aris Widyo Nugroho, PhD. The time is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let's say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, which has given guidance and blessing to us. Our salawat and greeting are always delivered on our good Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which has brought us from darkness to brighter. Honorable keynote speakers, Professor Dr. Nur Asidi Matisa from University Saint Malaysia, Honorable all the deans from research department, all head departments, and honorable all participants, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to express my warm welcome to the webinar Integration System in Application. This webinar is the pre-conference, the second international conference Electronic and Electrical Engineering and Intelligent System, or ICEI3IS, This international summer conference has been initiated by the Electrical Engineering Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, which enthusiastically invited several partners universities to join in. This conference will be conducted in conjunction with the third International Conference on Information Technology, Advanced Material and Electrical Engineering, or ECTAMI, which is organized by Engineering Faculty of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, which enthusiastically invited several partner universities to join. I do believe this webinar provides an excellent opportunity for sharing knowledge in the field of artificial intelligence, smart and innovative technology in 4.0 industrial era. I have noticed that the aim of the webinar is to provide an environment for keynote speakers to discuss the development of smart artificial intelligence, particularly in their expertise, to all participants. It will be an interesting exchange of information, especially in terms of scientific development and other technological innovation. It is also expected that the webinar and the conference will create partnership among universities, and I do believe this event will generate discussion which can be transferred into real works. I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to distinguished speakers, Professor Dr. Nur Asidi Mat Isa and Dr. Isi Jusman, who contribute to this event. I wish you all have a productive and fruitful discussion. I would like to apologize for any shortcoming that may happen during the entire event. Stay healthy, and we look forward to the second ICE3IS and the third ECTAMI. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Associate Professor Insinyur Aris Winugroho, PhD, for the speech. For documentation purpose, we will take some pictures. Please open your camera. One, two, three. Once again. One, two, three. Thank you for your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, now we arrive at the core of the webinar, that of our keynote speaker. It will be moderator by Mr. Karisma Trinanda Putra, PhD. Let me introduce Mr. Karisma Putra, PhD. He graduated with bachelor degree and master degree from Polytechnic Institute of Surabaya, 2012, and 10 November Institute of Technology, 2015, respectively. He has received his doctoral degree from Asia University, Taiwan in January 2022. He is currently an assistant professor in Department of Electrical Engineering, Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. He has education, for example, is in 2022, he published Pulse Line Intersection Method with Unboxed Artificial Intelligence for Hesitant Pulse Wave Classification. In 2020, he published a spatiotemporal data compression approach with low transmission costs and high data fidelity for an air quality monitoring, and etc. Not only that, Mr. Karisma also active too in research project. One of them in 2018, he do in research design of automatic sorting system for free image processing. Mr. Karisma has many experience in 2013 until 2014, become research at ITS, and 2018 until 2021, become research assistant at CSIE, Asia University, and etc. For most of the conversation, the time is yours.
Okay, first of all, the Honorable Head of Bachelor Program, Dr. Insinyur Ramadhani Syahputra, STMT IPM, and also the Honorable our Vice Dean, Faculty of Technique, Dr. Yasi Jusman, ST MSc, the Honorable our Dean, Faculty of Technique, Insinyur Aris Widyonugroho, STMT PhD, and also the Honorable Speaker today, Professor Insinyur Dr. Nur Asidi Mat Isa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let us express our gratitude and thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His blessing to us, so that we are blessed with a good health and also able to attend in this excellent pre-conference webinar. Salawat and salam, praise to our Prophet Nabiuna Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us from the dark ages into an era full of knowledge today. Okay, before we begin, I would like to introduce you to the speaker or presenters today. We have an honorable speech from our neighbor country. If I'm not correct, he is a former supervisor of Dr. Yasi Jusman during her master program. So I would like to share the screen regarding the biography of Professor Nur Asidi Mat Isa. Okay, Professor Insinyur Dr. Nur Asidi Mat Isa. He has graduated from doctoral degree from USM, and then the research area is related to the computer vision and also computational intelligence. And the research interests, intelligence system that are developing detection, disease detection, biomedical image processing, and also machine learning. Nah, and also the age index of Dr. Nur Asidi Mat Isa is very high. Age index in Scopus 37 and also in Google Scholar 44. And also he already published 180 manuscript in WASP journal and also 208 Scopus journal, and the total 287 in Google Scholar. Okay, let's Okay, let's we continue to the main topic of today speaking, that is AI. The term of AI, maybe we know about AI, but the term of AI already established in 1915 actually. But because of the increase of the use of internet, the media, social media, and also the term of AI emerged right now in today. Yeah, the AI also popular because of the the the, the technology of deep learning. Because of deep learning, we the computer can make sure that the data set, the performance can be reached the human perception. That's why deep learning is almost visual algorithm right now use that kind of technology. Okay, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our presenters to start the presentation. Okay, Professor Nur Asidi Matisa, the time is yours. Okay, Professor, we can see your presentation.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And good morning to all of you. First of all, thank you, Dr. Karisma Trinanda Putra, as a moderator for today. Then, first of all, I would like to thank Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta for inviting me today to share my experience basically on computer vision and also computational intelligence. And thank you for to my ex master students with Dr. Yesi Jusman, because she still believe in me in order to share my knowledge with you guys from UMY. Okay, so as mentioned by Dr. Karisma, basically AI is basically what we call the research field that becoming popular nowadays. And for today, I will not talk directly about what we call exactly about the AI, but I'm talking about the something that we have to do before we can apply AI in order to what we call to do the classification, recognition, and so on. So if we want to use sort of what we call the AI in order to do the classification and so on based on the imaging, so the first thing that we need to do is we have to ensure that the image is basically have a good contrast and as well as a good quality. So by having what we call the low quality of images, at the end of the day, the deep learning, if you think about if you talk about the DCNN, we talk about the CNN, we talk about ResNet and so on, still it cannot produce a good performance in order to do a classification or detection some sort of application. But in order for us to have a better performance, is basically we need to do a pre-processing for the image itself. So we have to make sure that it have a good quality and it have a good contrast. So by providing this kind of good quality of images, so it will help the deep learning in order to extract, to better extract the significant features from the images. Okay, so that's why. So for today, I will share with all of you a new. I can say it's a what we call another possible solution that we can use in order for us to have a better quality of images. So today I would like to talk about the importance of region determinations for better image enhancement performance, where we will apply what we call the pre-processing. We call it the region determination before we enhance the quality as well as the contrast of the images. So this approach is basically can help in order to have a better quality and a better contrast of images. Okay, so for my presentation today, I will try to divide it into a few, what we call a few sections. The first one, I will give a little bit introduction about the non-uniform illumination image. So this is important because although we have a sophisticated, what we call high-end cameras, what we call capturing devices and so on, but still in few what we call cases, in certain cases, we still capture what we call the low contrast or a low quality of images. And one of the low quality, we call it the non-uniform illumination, where we can see that from the images, there will a part of the images which is look brighter, and while the other part will be look darker. So because of this, what we call not consistent, there is no consistency of the illumination. At the end of the day, the details of the image will not be clearly observed, by human. And then the next thing is, after that, I will show you what we call the approach, which is need to be what we call integrated before we apply the contrast assessment, which is called the region determination. So the region determination is basically we try to identify which part of the images is what we call classified with certain types of region, either is underexposed, overexposed, or well exposed. And then after that, I will introduce to you what is the contrast enhancement processes. And after that, by having these two processes, I try to integrate them together. And I will show you what will be the results and what will be the performance as compared to the original, the conventional contrast enhancement without the region determination. Here you can see the differences between the conventional contrast enhancement and also the performance that will be produced by integration between these two processes. And after that, I will give you some examples of the applications. The application can be done in what we call many research fields, such as for today, I will give you examples, application on the medical side, on the electrical, on the satellite, and also for underwater images. And then after that, I will give you a few challenges to think if maybe some of you interested to continue your research in this area. So what will be the challenges to be focused on? And lastly will be the acknowledgement. Okay. Okay. So before we go further, so my team basically here, we try to differentiate between the low quality images, and one of the types of the low quality images, we call it the non-uniform illumination image. So what is a non-uniform illumination image? Okay, so basically when we try to capture the image, the important thing is we have to make sure that the light when capturing the image or the object must be enough, must be appropriate enough in order to have the very smooth or very clear illumination. But sometimes because of the light, maybe it is covered by the shadow, covered by obstacle and so on. That's why some of the images, as I mentioned to you, will have a bright what we call a bright section, while the other part will be darker as compared to other regions. So this is what we call the non-uniform illumination images. Okay, so for example, this is the example. If you refer to this one, from these images we can see that there are a few. We can classify these images into a few regions, where we can see that at the middle of the images is basically, we can refer it as a well exposed, where we have the appropriate light exposure. And because we have the suitable light exposure, then we able to capture a very clear image. So if you can see at the middle of the images, all of the leaves, the walls, the gates and so on, all of the pattern and so on can be clearly seen by our eyes. But if you compare to the left-hand side and also for the right-hand side, we can see that there is either it is underexposed, where we have the low light intensity, or we have the over light intensity. So these two is basically, we refer it to the region with inappropriate light exposure. So this is basically, we have less exposure, and this is, we have the excessive light exposure. So from here, we can see that at this particular pillar or at this particular wall, we cannot observe basically where are the edges and so on. Similar to this one, because of we have the very low light intensity, so we cannot see the patterns of the leaves here and also here. Okay, so this is the problem when we try to, especially when we try to detect or we try to extract the features from the medical images, because for the medical images sometimes the detail is very tiny. So for example, that we want to what we call detect the COVID-19 from the from our lung, from the X-ray lung X-ray images. So the COVID-19 is very tiny. The what we call the element of the COVID-19 is very tiny. So if we have a very less light exposure or very excessive light exposure, so we cannot observe, we cannot differentiate between the part what we call affected by the COVID-19 and so on. So I will give you the example how our system is basically, how our method can improve the quality of the contrast, okay, by highlighting the COVID-19 what we call affected regions, okay. And then so this is the issue when we have this kind of images. What is the problem is basically the details, especially at the inappropriate light exposure, cannot be observed clearly. And then because of this, because of we have some part of the images is basically darker, and other part is what we call is basically brighter. So the most common solution is we try to enhance, we try to apply the contrast enhancement process. Okay, the problem when we try to apply the contrast enhancement process, basically it will work for the low intensity region, where at this part of the images, we can see that the after we apply the contrast enhancement, this part will be enhanced. So basically, we can observe observe the pattern of the leaves and so on clearly. But it is it will give a problem for the excessive light exposure region, where for this region, what the contrast enhancement will do is it will over enhance this region, and at the end of the day, it will be oversaturated, and it will be over enhanced what we call a region. At the end of the day, the detail will be vanish. We cannot observe what we call the detail, especially at the edges and so on. So this is just an example, and for this case, it is not critical because it's referred to the what we call the scenery, what we call images. But it will be critical if we refer to the underwater images, we have the medical images and so on. Okay, so what we try to do is we try to enhance the intensity here, and we try to reduce the intensity for the bright region. Okay, okay, now, but the problem, as I mentioned to you, so this is the example when we have the what we call the retina. This is a medical images, one of the retina from our eyes. So we can see that this is basically, there is what we call the one of the abnormal features here. But because of because of there is non-illumination, where we can see that at the center of the images is clear and clearer as compared to the other parts. So we can see that the details at this part is basically cannot be observed clearly by our human eyes. Okay, so it's what we call similar to this what we call these images. So we cannot find the vein here, somewhere vein here, but there is a vein at this medical images. But the problem is because of we don't have the because there is a non-illumination where some parts are brighter as compared to other parts, so we cannot observe any vein somewhere here. Okay, so this is basically the example of the satellite images, the aerial images. So we can see that our what we call cloud is basically give the become the shadow, and it makes this part of the images is basically blur as compared to other parts. Okay, so this is basically the problem of non-uniform illumination. So what we try to do is, firstly, we have to make sure that we need to identify which part is basically considered as the bright region and which part is basically considered as a dark region. And when we successfully differentiate these two regions, so we will what we call apply a different concept of contract enhancement to those regions, where at the dark region we try to enhance the intensity, while for the bright region we try to reduce the intensity. But what happened here as of now is the conventional contract enhancement, they apply the enhancement process to the whole image without considering the image or the region types. So by doing that, these conventional contract enhancement methods can only successfully enhance the dark region, while for the bright region it will be oversaturated or over enhanced. So the detail will be lost at all. Okay. Okay. Now, conventional approach, when we try to enhance what we call the images. So when we have the input images, either is have a non-uniform, non-uniform illumination image or so on, have a low contrast, low quality and so on, we will do a pre-processing. And then one of the pre-processing is basically the contrast enhancement. Okay, so contrast enhancement, we try to enhance the image before we will get the what we try to get the good quality or the good contrast of output image. So this is the conventional approach. But now what I'm trying to introduce to you, I try to share with you our knowledge is basically we try to add in one techniques here, one process here. Before we apply the contrast enhancement, as I mentioned, we try to apply the method to differentiate the regions within in the image itself. So we try to classify the what we call the region into several types before each type of region will be applied with a different contrast enhancement methods. So at the end of the day, we will have a more uniform image with a better contrast, a better detail highlighted and so on. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to share with you today. Okay. Okay, now what is region determination? Region determination is basically the objective. We try to distinguish between regions. The regions we can basically we defined the regions based on the light exposure. Either we have a good light exposure or we have the inappropriate light exposure. Okay, so this for as of now, what people or researcher did is by having this light exposure criteria, they what we call differentiate the region into two types. The first one, we call it the overexposed region, where we have the excessive light exposure, and the other region, we call it underexposed region. Underexposed region refers to the region with the less what we call not very limited light exposure. So at the end of the day, the region will be dark and the detail will be lost. Okay, so the common approach that they use now is basically based on the pixel intensity, meaning that if you refer to the 8-bit images where we have 256 level, so it seems that if the intensity is between what we call, we will set the threshold, and this threshold is basically will be used to differentiate these two regions. Okay, so if it's less than this threshold, it will be referred as underexposed, while when we have the pixel with higher than this threshold, it will refer to the over regions. Okay, so it can be implemented globally or locally. And then, as I mentioned to you, there are two types, which is over and underexposed. Okay, now, okay, what they do is basically they are using in H because actually you can use in terms of RGB, you can use in terms of the HSI. But most of the common, what we call the current or the present researchers, they are using the hue, saturation, and value, HSV color model. And they only use the intensity, which is the V, what we call the V element to what we call to differentiate between those types. Okay, so this is basically what we call the the equation that they use. And because of that, they try to have this threshold. So this is basically the threshold. So if the current pixel is basically lower than that threshold, so it becomes the dark or underexposed. While if the pixel is basically have the higher intensity as compared to the V average, then it will refer to the bright or overexposed region. Okay, so this is what they get based on this current common techniques. Okay, so this is what the techniques produce. So we can see that the blue is referred to the underexposed, while for the red region is basically for the overexposed. Okay, so this basically the common approach where they try to differentiate these two, we call this image into two types. Okay, so under and also overexposed by using the intensity value. But what is the problem? The problem with this one is basically if you refer to this, sorry. Okay, if you refer to these results, what we can see that, as I mentioned to you, if you refer to the original images, this is basically, it's okay if you refer this one as based on our visual, based on our naked eyes, based on our visual, human visual, we can see that this is can be what we call categorized as the underexposed. And this is basically can be categorized as the overexposed. So basically it's work by using the common approach. But the problem here is you refer to this one, if you refer at the middle of your image, as the center of the image, this is basically a well exposed. So meaning that we can clearly see the patterns of the leaves, we can see the patterns of the gate and so on. So basically the details are clear. Okay, the details for this part is basically clear. And basically it is not what we call this region should not be applied with the contrast enhancement, because the details, the contrast, the quality is already okay. And basically this is not no need for us to apply any contrast enhancement here. But the problem with this common approach, when you classify them into two regions, we can see that this particular region is also considered as the what we call not a well exposed, meaning that either it is become the underexposed or overexposed. So basically when we have this kind of classification, so when we apply the contrast enhancement, the blue regions at the center will be enhanced further, okay, and the red also will be over enhanced. So meaning that it is basically the possibility for us to lose the detail is basically high, because we still when we classify them into under and over, so we will apply the contrast enhancement to this region. So at the end of the day, the details here will be enhanced as well. So it will over enhance, and at the end of the day, it will rust the details. Okay, so this is the problem when we only classify what we call the region into two, the image into two regions. So what we try to do here is basically we apply, we use another what we call another criteria here. Okay, so we try to have the standard deviation of the intensity. We still use the intensity, so the only criteria now is the intensity. So there is an approach that instead of only classify them into two regions, which is under and overexposed, we try to have another third region. We call it the well exposed. And the well exposed is basically the region that the quality or the details of the object at that region is basically clear enough, and no need for further contrast. Okay. So because of that, we need to have these three region. So researcher is basically introduce another what we call parameter. We call it the standard deviations of your intensity. So this is the equation for us to get the intensity, and based on the intensity and based on the intensity average of intensity, we try to have the upper limit and also the lower limit. So the upper limit is basically V average, average of intensity plus the standard deviation of the intensity, while for the lower one is basically the average of the intensity minus the standard deviation of intensity. Then this will give us two thresholds. which is the upper threshold and the lower threshold. And by having these two thresholds, so we can now differentiate the images into three regions, where the first one is dark or underexposed, which have the intensity less than lower threshold. The well exposed is basically between the lower threshold and upper threshold, while for the bright or overexposed region is basically refer to the pixel that have intensity more than the upper threshold. So the result that we will get is basically, instead of having two regions, now we will have a three region. Okay, so the blue one refer to the under, the red one is referred to the over, and the green one is referred to the well exposed. Now we can see that it's better as compared to the previous one, where we can see that some of the, what we call the leaf here and so on, the pattern here is basically has been correctly detected as a well exposed. Why is it well exposed? Because the detail is clearly highlighted. So it should be what we call detected and as a well exposed, where others still have under and also overexposed. But still there is a problem. If you refer back to this, what we call black circle here and black circle here, so this, what we call this region is still based on our human, our naked eyes, our human visual, we can see that this one is still should be considered as a what we call the well exposed, where the details are still there and is clearly observed. Similar to this one, we can see that all of this what we call the shadow here, and we have the edges here, the edges of the wall, and the edges of the post box here, and so on is clear, and they should be what we call should be classified as the well exposed. But some of the region is basically unsuccessfully and incorrectly detected as underexposed and overexposed. So this is basically the problem here is because of they are only using one criteria, which the intensity. As you mentioned, we have HSV, hue, saturation, and value, and they only use the V value, which is the intensity. So by only using, this one criteria, so this is what we get. Okay, in order for us to improve, then we still need to consider another criteria. Okay, so this is what we done here. So basically, we are not only focused on the intensity, but we also focused on entropy and also the contrast. They call there is another. Basically, there are many criteria can be used from the image. We can have the contrast. We can have the what we call entropy and so on. So all of these criteria should be discovered by researcher in order for them to have a better region determination performance. And because of that, we are not only for using the intensity, but we also consider the entropy and also what we call the entropy and also the contrast. So this is what we get. So we can see that what we call the well exposed is now successfully detected as a well exposed. What we call the overexposed is correctly detected as overexposed, while the underexposed here is clearly incorrectly what we call classified as the underexposed region. Okay, so I will give you the more result after this one. Okay, and then for the contrast enhancement, this is the introduction for the contrast enhancement. Okay, so it can be used in the frequency domain, or you can what we call apply it in the spatial domain. So frequency domain is a little bit complex as compared to the spatial domain, because you have to convert the images into the frequency domain, and then you process in the frequency domain. Then after you get the output, you return the original back, the image back to the original type, which is the spatial domain. But for the spatial domain, is basically you manipulate the image directly from the original without you converting it into the frequency domain and so on. So that's why the frequency domain is basically what we call better, what we call complex as compared to the spatial domain. But both frequency domain and spatial domain have their own pros and also cons. They have their own limitation and also have their own advantages. Okay, so you can researcher can discover both domains is basically, and then there is basically researcher which try to integrate both. they try to process the image both in frequency domain and spatial domain, and they combine them together, integrate them together, which they can able to provide a much better output as compared to only using the frequency or only using the spatial domain. Okay, that's actually the another direction or path that can be discovered. Okay, can be explored. Okay, now for my presentation today, I will focus on the spatial domain, and I will for the spatial domain there are there are many groups. Okay, so of the contact enhancement, we have a nonlinear mapping, we have the retinet base, we have the fuzzy transform base, we have the machine learning base. Okay, we have the histogram based algorithm. But for today, I will focus on a histogram based algorithm. Okay. Okay, so in a histogram based equalization based method, we try to modify the image histogram. We try to play around with the histogram of the images. We try to stretch it, we try to compress it in order for us to, if you want to have the, what we call the high contrast, we have to stretch the histogram. If you want to have the low contrast, then we have to compress the histogram. So that's basically what we call the concept of histogram equalization. Then you can have a further information about this one. I will not talk this one because this is not the main topic for today's speech. Okay, and then because of the HE based contact enhancement, there are lots of category. Okay, so we have the general HE, we have the what is BS? We have the hybrid one where they try to hybrid between what we call between the other AI with the HE base. Okay, so we can see that they try to integrate between the HE base with the PSO, Firefly, you know. Then we have the Kuko, ABC, DE, and so on. So there are lots of what we call advanced HE based where they try to integrate the artificial intelligence inside what we call the contact enhancement. And we also have a by threshold here. We threshold the what we call the histogram into several regions. Then we stretch them region by region. So meaning that instead of we use as a general, which is a global, now we move towards what we call the local base. Okay, so this is basically what we call the classification of the HE based contact enhancement. You can have you can what we call refer to this, all of this reference. Okay. Okay, now this is the main point. How we want to integrate between the region determination and contact enhancement. So now I'll try to introduce the region determination inside the contact enhancement methods, and we try to analyze the performance, the outputs, the resultant output when we integrate these two processes, and we try to compare it if we only apply the contact enhancement without the region determinations. Okay, so for this one, for the first step, is basically when we get the input image, what we try to do is we apply the region determination. Okay, we try determine the different region in an image, and we try to what we call classify them into three main regions: the under, well, and overexposed region. And after we have these three different regions, now we need to apply the contact enhancement. But as I mentioned to you, every and each region will have their own contract enhancement, because under region we need to have the more level or more contract enhancement rate, meaning that we have to make sure that the contract enhancement is basically fully swing for the underexposed, while for the overexposed we have it should be no contract enhancement, or we have to do the negative enhancement, meaning that we have to reduce. Instead of we enhance the contrast, we have to reduce the enhancement. While for the well or well exposed region, we have to make sure that the what we call the region is basically not need to apply any contrast enhancement. So the contrast enhancement technique, because of we already have the three different regions, so the techniques must additively investigate the characteristic of each region types. So what are the contrast, what are the entropy, what are the intensity, and based on this characteristic, we need to make sure that our contrast enhancement can automatically tune these parameters, its own parameter, because we know that every contrast enhancement has their own parameters. So this parameter is basically commonly is set manually by user. But now because of we have three different what we call regions, so we have to make sure that this technique is basically can adaptively or can automatically investigate their characteristic and use the characteristic in order to automatically what we call set the value or set the parameters of the contrast enhancement method. Especially the rate and also the level. Which region have to be higher rate, which region have to be lower rate in terms of the enhancement. Okay, so basically the higher rate should be applied for the underexposed, while for the lower rate should be for the overexposed, it should be lower rate or a negative enhancement. Negative enhancement meaning that we have to what we call do the opposite of the contrast enhancement, because we want to lower down the contrast for this regions. Okay, so this is basically the two steps that have to be implemented, have to be integrated when you want to enhance the contrast and the quality. Okay, so in our case, we have do many techniques basically, but now for today I will only share with you one of the techniques. As I mentioned to you, we are using the intensity, entropy, and contrast. As the commonly researcher is only focused on intensity, and the result for the region definition is basically not I can see it's not perfect, because as I mentioned to you, the center of the images is still, some of the region is still incorrectly identified as the over or underexposed. But now when we try to integrate another two criteria, basically there are more criteria, but in this case I add two criteria, which is the entropy and also the contrast. So we produce a better results as compared to the previous one. Okay, so we can see that all of those well exposed is basically correctly identified at the well exposed regions as compared to the previous what we call techniques. Okay, okay. Now this is how we do the contrast enhancement. Okay, so if you refer to this one, we try to use a different rate. So this is the rate for the underexposed, and this is the rate for the overexposed. If you refer to the overexposed, if the what we call the it will be opposite as compared to the underexposed. When the overexposed, it should be the rate should be higher and higher. But for the overexposed, it is saturated at the beginning, and it's become lesser at the end of what we call the process. So we can see that the enhancement rate or enhancement level for the underexposed is basically bigger or higher as compared to the overexposed. OE is overexposed, UE is basically underexposed. So meaning that when we have the different what we call different criteria or different approach for the underexposed and overexposed, at the end of the day we have a better results. Okay, so okay, so this is what this all of the what we call the R values, you know, or the R values, the PDF R values, all of this one is basically automatically what we call determined by the proposed method. Okay, so this is okay. So I give you the example. Okay, how to compare between the original image, the conventional techniques. There are two conventional techniques here, which is the histogram equalization, and the other one is Clahi. So Clahi is basically, they claim that Clahi is basically the best as of now. So Clahi is the best. So if you refer to this example, we can see that what happened to the Clahi, because of the Clahi is basically they apply the contrast enhancement to the whole image. So if you refer to this what we call this part and also this part, we can see that it's over enhance the contrast, and at the end of the day the output image is basically unnatural. It's not as natural as the original one. It may be defect and so on. There is a jagged, what we call jagged effect. They will be over enhanced, and it seems that the image now is not natural anymore. Okay, because some part is over enhanced and some part is not what we call is not enhanced. Okay, so if you refer to our proposed technique, we can see that all of the edges here, you can see the edges here, the edges here, and the edges here, and then also at this particular underexposed, we can see that the pattern of the list is basically can be seen clearer as compared to the original one and compared to the HE one. Okay, although we can see that this is basically have the better contrast from one pixel to another pixel, but at the end of the day, the overall picture is basically not natural. Okay, so this is the one we have the unwanted artifact from this output image. So, but for the proposed image, basically we have the more natural image, while the details and also what we call the enhanced is enhanced, improved basically. Okay, for the second sample is the close-up. Okay, so the close-up image. So this is the human face. So we can see from this conventional HE and Klahi, we can see that there is the unnatural here. Okay, there is unwanted artifacts because it's over enhanced, over contrast. Okay, but for our proposed method is basically better in terms of the patterns of the hair, the wrinkles there, and so on. So if refer to the original one, is clearer as compared to this one. Okay. Okay, so this is basically how the region determination is basically works. Okay, because we can see that the underexposed here is basically enhanced, and the overexposed here is basically we can see that we try to lower the enhance the contrast. So we can see that the forehead, the pattern of the forehead is basically the contrast has been lessened as compared to the original one. Okay, so there is no more exit of light exposure here because we make the overall output image is basically have the more uniform illuminations. So we can see that every what we call angle is basically have the more uniform illumination as compared to original one, compared to the Klahi, and also compared to the conventional HE. Okay, so it's more natural, it's more uniform for the whole image. Okay, and then the application. I will show to you. So basically, these techniques we apply it to many applications. We apply to the medical, we apply to the electronic, we apply to the electrical, we apply also to the drone punya images and so on. So I will show you a few application that has been what we call apply with our techniques. So we can see the differences between the original and also the what we call the output images. For the satellite and aerial images, so this is the example. Okay, we can see that now. Okay, so if you refer to this one and this one, there is a blur, what we call blur regions somewhere here. If you refer to when using your what we call naked eyes, there is a blurry somewhere here and there, similar to this one. But when we apply to the technique, we can see that the illumination is more better as compared to the original. So here we can see that all of this is satellite image, sample of the satellite image. So we can see that the detail is basically clearer as compared to the original one. Okay, similar to this one. Okay, so we can see that all of this, what we call the trees here is clearer as compared to this one and so on. Okay, and then we also apply to underwater images. Okay, so we compare with the original one and with the output one. Okay, so we can see that all of the coral here is clearer. The coral here is also clearer compared to this one and this one. This is basically what we call the overexposed region, and this is basically also the overexposed region, and we can see that the exposure is basically has been what we call reduced. And we can see that the details is better as compared to this one. Okay, so you can observe from these three images there where the illumination is become better, become more uniform, and the detail is basically what we call can be seen clearer as compared to the original one. And then we also apply to the electrical field, which is the hotspot detection. Now for this one, we try to compare with conventional HE and conventional Clahi. Okay, so we have the conventional HE and conventional Clahi. So what we can see that this is basically the unwanted artifact because it's full of noises. Okay, so it's full of the noises, okay, unwanted noises as compared to our technique, which we can reduce the noises as well. It can have the better, we can see that it have a better contrast, and at the same time, it reduces the noise, the effect of the noise as compared to the HE and also for the Clahi. Okay, so this is for electrical field spot. So we try to spot what we call the failure of the electrical hotspot. Okay, so similar for this one. Okay, so we can see that there is noises here as well, but we have a less noise as compared to these two. While the contrast also is better as compared to the original one. Okay. And last one, the application that I will try to share with you is in medical field. This is interesting. Okay, we try to detect the COVID-19. So we are using the X-ray. Okay, so we also try to compare with the conventional HE and the conventional Clahi. So this HE and Clahi, this method do not what we call apply the region delineation, while our technique is basically apply the region delineation. So for the first image, okay, and this is for the second image. Okay, if you refer to this one, basically at your lung, there is this lung is basically almost fully affected by the COVID-19. Okay, there are COVID-19 everywhere here is basically. Okay, so if you refer to the conventional HE, you can see at there is a dot here, spot here. So this is basically the COVID-19. So for the conventional HE, it can only highlight a certain part, the COVID-19 at a certain parts. Okay, but if you refer to the red one, here you can see that the COVID-19 infection is clearer as compared to the original one and compared to the HE and conventional HE. And we can see that the image is basically have more uniform illumination as compared to the Clahi, where we can see that the image is become unnatural. Okay, unnatural as compared to the proposed one. So if you refer to the proposed one, we can see that all of this region is basically affected by the COVID-19. So, so at the end of the day, we can see that our system is basically able to highlight whatever the affected region from your lung by the COVID-19, similar to this one. Okay, so we can see that all of this is basically has been what we call affected by the COVID-19 as compared to the HE and compared to the conventional Clahi. Okay, so this is very interesting. So we also basically we apply to many other images. We apply to the sperm images, we apply to the cervical cell images and so on. Then, but I have to be frank with you, it is not 100% complete yet. So there's still what we call the criteria, other criteria, you know, other approaches have to be integrate as well to this technique in order for us to have a better output results. Okay. Okay. Now, what is the challenges? So the challenges is basically as of now, when we refer to region type determinations, there is no standard quantitative analysis. So because of there is no what we call this one method that can be used as the benchmark in order for us to compare with those mark with that method. So this is one of the challenges, because of when we apply this one, we need to what we call do a survey. We need to be all our output is basically need to be evaluated by other researcher in machine learning field. And then this is basically time consuming, and this is basically a subjective analysis, because one researcher and another researcher will have a different what we call output and different opinion and so on. So that's one of the challenges. And the second challenges is basically now what we do is we apply the region determination first. Then after that, what we call the output image, then we use the output image from the region determination process to become the input for the contrast enhancement process. So meaning that we have to what we call apply two processes separately. So it is time consuming and it is quite complex. Now the challenges is now how the question is now how do you want to integrate these two, hybridize the region determination and the contrast enhancement to become one process, one method, without separating them as a two different processes. Because when you have a two different processes, it will be more challenging, it will be more complex, it will be more time consuming. So these are the two as of now that we try to what we call try to reduce or to solve these two problems. Okay, so this is the challenges, and basically the challenges is basically is interesting because it help our methods to grow better and better from time to time. Okay, so that's the last one. So acknowledgement, basically this work is basically done by 3 PhD students. Okay, Nur Hidayah, Samer, Nur Hidayah from Malaysia, Samer is basically from Iraq, Abdullah Amir is from Jordan, and Tan Siu Fong is basically from Malaysia. So I have in my group, in my lab, I have many what we call citizens of a PhD and master students. So if you guys in UMI who are able to interested to join and to collaborate with me, please let me know. And then we will. I try to. I love to collaborate with anybody. So I try to share my idea. I try to share my. I love to share my idea. I love to share my experience, and I hope one day I will be there in UMI face to face with all of you guys, and you can have we can have what we call the detailed discussion. Maybe inshallah. I hope that UMI will invite me to be there one day. Okay. So I think that's all for my presentation today. So I think I give back to what we call to the moderator.
Yes. Okay, Professor Nur Ashidi, thank you very much for your speech. Very interesting, and we learned a lot regarding about the feature enhancement, right? The contrast enhancement. And if I'm not if I'm not correct, this technology is applied in the pre-processing, right? And you determine the region in an image and also do the contrast enhancement so that the final result can be improved.
Okay.
The quality of the image. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I will open the question from the floor. Is there any question from the participant, especially? Okay, maybe 2 or 3 questions from the floor. Or maybe I will start first.
Okay. Okay.
How about this is interesting technology, Professor.
Okay.
And how about the trade-off of your technology? Is there any trade-off? Maybe the complexity increase, the computational complexity, or maybe you can answer that.
Okay. So that's what of okay. Nowadays we try to have basically we try to make our system in real time application, where we try to apply it to the medical field. So medical field is basically we try to integrate it with the medical equipments, and then we try to process the images immediately after the images is basically has been captured by those medical equipments. For example, let's say we have the X-ray, what we call the X-ray equipments. Then when the X-ray is basically capture the image of the X-ray, then we try to integrate these techniques immediately together with that particular X-ray equipment, and we try to what we call to enhance and also to process the image immediately. That's our ultimate aim. But the problem now, as I mentioned to you, because we have two processes to be applied different what we call separately, where we need to apply the region determination first, then we need to apply, after that we need to apply the what we call contract enhancement. So this is the trade-off of our techniques, because if you want to do it not a real time where we process it by using our laptop computer, it can be done because it's not because the output is not to be need to be what we call produced immediately. So it is okay. But if you want to use it at the real-time applications, so this is basically we need to have the system is very efficient with a very short period, short processing time. So as of now, this is, as I mentioned to you, this is one of the challenges, one of the trade-off. So it can be used only for the offline punya application, not for the real-time application yet. So because of the region determination is basically what we call, because you know that the image is very huge and it has a very thousands of pixels, and our system have to be, our method have to identify and to determine each pixel individually. So let's say you have 10,000 pixels. So the techniques have to process 10,000 times. So it takes time basically, but it's not that what we call it's only about 2 or 3 seconds to produce the output. But still in the medical field, because of when we refer to the MRI, so the MRI produce the slice of images is basically very fast, okay, very quick. So it needs a very the system need to be processed the image slices in a few nanoseconds. So that's the challenges. So we have to, now the challenges we try to reduce from the second into a nanosecond. Okay, so but in terms of the what we call performance wise, okay, I have to admit that some types of images it will not produce a good results. Okay, if you refer to the we have tested with several images, medical images, for example the COVID-19, we have the mammogram, we have the sperm images and so on. So it can work for the mammogram, for the x-ray, ultrasound, but it has a very quite poor result for the sperm, where the sperm is basically from the microscopic images. So that's why sometimes to suit with a specific region, we need to slightly what we call modify the parameters of the what we call the techniques in order for us to in order for the technique to be suitable for that particular what we call applications. Okay,
very interesting, Professor. And is there any question?
Me?
Or you can ask your question in chat room or directly to Professor Nur Asidi.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, is there any question? Oh yeah,
Mr.
okay.
Karisma.
Okay, Dr. Iswanto.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I'm introducing myself. I'm Iswanto. I'm in Electrical Engineering Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Karisma. I'm very happy to acquaint with Prof. I'm very happy if a doctoral USM and a Prof can send review in a JRC. My introduce, my name is Wanto. I'm editor-in-chief in Journal Robotic and Control in Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. I ask from Prof, who is the development to artificial intelligence algorithm to process image processing used in robotic? Thank you very much, Prof.
Again, what's the question?
Okay. I repeat because this signal is very bad. Yes.
Okay.
My question: How is the development of artificial intelligence algorithm to process image processing used in robotic and control?
Of course. So your question, if I'm not mistaken, I rephrase it. You want to know the what we call the potential of using
Yes, because robotic is use a microprocessor or microcontroller is very small in a device.
Yep.
And processing in artificial intelligence, which image processing is use the processor with for example, it's a laptop or a computer. It's a very high and bigger, and the robotics not is use the this computer or the laptop is the high bigger. The robotic use is for example Raspberry, for Bandana P, and anything there's and the algorithm is for the image processing. The best is the in robotics. For example, what is that?
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So now for that particular for that questions, so I try my best to answer it. Okay. Okay. So as of now, for your information, my group is basically we try to what we call apply our techniques to electronic industry in Malaysia, especially in Penang, because in our university we have around us is basically industries. And then some industries basically, if you refer, they have the electronic components. They try to they produce what we call the chips, you know, the PCB. And then this is basically they use nowadays in manufacturing departments, they have the what we call the timing bell. You know, they have to scan scan the images of the electronic that they produce. They want to detect the defect. You know, the crack and so on. The solder joint is not properly what we call welded. It's not properly soldered. And then they also have to detect the crack of the electronic equipment. You know, the robot needs to capture the image, and they have to analyze the image. So this is basically what we call one of the potential of the image processing in electronic industry, where if you have the automation part, we have the automation from one process to another process, and then each process too, they have to identify is there any mistake, any error, any defect for that what we call the production of the electronic equipments. So as of now, what the automation or robotic lines did is they do it manually. They have to capture the image manually. They have to identify what we call the defect. Where are the defect of that particular electronic equipment? And we know that the equipment and the electronic equipment is very tiny, it's very small, and it is very, if you want to inspect the defect from the electronic equipment is very tiring. And because the what we call the human or the robot have to check for the whole for the entire electronic equipment. So what we try to apply now in industry is basically we are using the machine vision. Machine vision is basically consists of the image processing and also for the artificial intelligence, where first of all, the machine vision is basically capture the image of that electronic equipment, and then based on this image, they will detect where are the defects on that particular image. And after that, the AI or the artificial intelligence will classify what we call the types of that defect. Either the defect is severe defect, or is only a small defect, or is only a big defect, and so on. So as the whole system, which is integration between the image processing and AI, this basically will be embedded in the robot or in the automation system. So at the end of the day, this robot and also this automation system will do the detection of the defect automatically. So now we already have what we call the research grant together with one of the one of the industry in Penang. So our aim is basically we try to do to deliver the whole system from the capturing the image, extract the features from the image, especially the defect, and classify the defects. And then after we successfully develop the system will be embedded into their automation system or their robot system. Okay, so that what I can see that one of the potential of this particular what we call area. So as a researcher, we need to be creative lah. So we need to be able to identify, to integrate what are the processes to be integrated together in order for us to build the what we call the whole system. When we only focus on one specific research field, basically we will not at the end of the day we are not able to what we call to deliver the complete system. So this is the time for the researcher is basically to integrate a multidisciplinary research field. From the image processing, from the AI, maybe from the robotic, maybe from the automation, you have to sit all together and you have to combine. You have to brainstorming what are the solution that you want, what are the problem that you want to solve, and by using the expertise of all these what we call groups of expertise, then we need to have the what we call the one complete system at the end of the day. So that's why for me, this is not the time for us to work individually, but we have to make sure that we have the support or the researcher from other fields. So as mentioned for you, I mentioned by you that robotic is one of the what we call the research field that of course need the artificial intelligence or also need the image processing in order to help them in order to have to build one complete system. Okay, so that's my answer. Is it answer your questions?
Okay, it's very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Karisma.
Okay, so I have my email there on the chat box, chat room.
Yes.
So if anyone want to contact me or want to collaborate with me, then you can email me. So my email on the chat box, ashidi@usm.my.
Maybe I want to collaborate with you, Prof. Nur Ashidi.
Yeah.
I'm in editor-in-chief journal Robotic and Control. The journal Robotic and Control in Electrical Engineering Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta have index Scopus in 2021. And the Simago SJR is Hitiga is artificial intelligence. Maybe I will collaboration with you for write a paper and submit in my journal. Thank you very much.
Okay, inshallah, no problem. Inshallah, I will try my best. Okay.
Yeah.
I love to collaborate. Okay, so if you guys, any one of you wants to join or wants to have a collaboration, then let me know. Okay.
Okay. Bapak Karisma.
Okay, Dr. Jesse Jusman.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Thank you, Bapak Dr. Karisma. Greeting welcomes from me, Prof. Forgive me for my late to join this webinar due to I have some accident, Prof. And Prof. Noasidi, yes, Prof. For the Prof. Noasidi is my supervisor in my master. So this is maybe there are some students also will proceed to be master and also to be PhD. He is the powerful lectures, and they have many experience and what we call genius students, and at that time for the corpus he have H index 37. So maybe this is Prof. There are some participants of ICS 3IS, Prof, and also participant of ICI TAMEE that I to be a chairman in the conference like before, Prof. So maybe this is welcome for some authors, maybe from Thailand, and also I see from the Korea, and also from India. Thank you very much for this your coming in this webinar. Thank you, Prof. I want to ask some question, Prof. Because I have to bigger my research to civil field, Prof.
Yeah.
This image enhancement performance. Can we apply to what we call bridge corrosion detection, like that, Prof? Corrosion detection based on image. We know that GPR radar image.
Yeah.
I think this image enhancement very useful, because before I have implement the GLCM, gray level concurrent matrix, for the texture, the texture features, and I think it will be improve the what we call improve the result of the features of the texture. So if Prof come in Yogyakarta at August, and also this is like I want to let the participant knows, we will Prof. Nur Arsidi is one of visiting professor in Faculty of Engineering UMY, and we will generate offline workshop because of his expertise in the writing of paper and also research. And also, Prof, I will manage. We will discuss about the implementation of this method in my new field of research, Prof. Okay, Prof. Okay, Prof.
Okay. As I mentioned, I thought you are promised me to send the images, right?
Station.
Yes.
But I please, if you want me to try with your images, try email to me.
Yes, Prof. Because of I'm very busy and forget to send the image, Prof. But for the next meeting in the offline, I hope Prof give me a time for we discuss about it for the next action. Okay, Prof.
Okay, Prof.
Okay.
I hope to see all of you, especially lecturer or pendidik from the UMY, so we can have a what we call a more thorough discussion when we have a I will be there, inshallah, in August, yeah.
Yes, August and 12 and 13.
So inshallah I will be there. Then we have a discussion. So I hope that at that particular time, I will give you workshop on the how to publish paper and also how to apply for the research grant.
Okay, research grant, Prof. I want to apply apply the research grant from other countries, Prof. I know that Prof. Nashidimat Isa have many experience get the a research grant from other country, yes, Prof. So I also want to study about that, Prof. Okay, this is I also Prof, for the next maybe there is a lecturer also Bapak Nur Setiawan also implement a GPS image for GPS image, and also Bapak Dr. Ahmad Zaki also implement radar image, and after that also I am by myself also implement medical image. So in the next meeting we can discussion more about the all field of the lecturer we join, and we discuss together to make a very interesting studies, yes, Prof. Okay, maybe only that from me, Prof. Nasidi Maisa, and thank you, Dr. Karisma. I give to you. There is Bapak Agung Mulyo Widodo ask some question.
Okay, maybe we move to Mr. Dolly Bonagro first, and then Mr. Agung Widodo. Okay, Mr. Dolly Bonagro.
Okay. Hello, can you hear my voice?
Yeah.
Okay, clearly. Yeah.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for Professor
Nur Ashidi.
Yes, Professor Nur ACD, for your presentation about the importance region determination of the image enhancement performance. Prof, I want to ask some one question. Okay, before it, let me introduce myself. My name is Dolly Bonardo. I am from the Universitas Sumatera Utara, Medan. I'm so interested to your research about the image enhancement.
Okay.
So from your research, Prof, despite the effectiveness of these algorithms, when it can enhance when applied separately. But is it possible in practice one must devise of a combination of such methods to achieve more effective image enhancement?
And then again.
I think as we know that many of the algorithm type to processing the image.
Yeah.
So for the aim of image enhancement, is it possible in practice one must devise a combination of such method to achieve more effective image enhancement?
Basically, what you're trying to you want to do it separately or what?
No, I want to
combine,
know. I want to know in practice, the image enhancement performance can be increasing if we combine the more one method, more one algorithm type.
Okay.
Is it possible to do that?
Okay, so that's possible, but as I mentioned to you, if you are interested in image processing only for the contrast enhancement, I'm suggesting you to you combine what we call you integrate between in contrast enhancement. We have two types of processing. We have the processing domain. We have also what we call the special domain. Okay, basically when we refer to the frequency domain, it is basically it is a good process if you want to detect all those the details such as the the ages, the ages, and then the what we call the texture of the images. So for that part, for frequency domain, it's good if you have the images what we call a full of edges, full of the texture. But for the special domain, for this kind of images, it is not it will not produce a good results. Okay, for the images that full of the what we call edges and texture and so on. So that's why I'm suggesting you, if you want to further your research, you try to combine between the frequency domain based method and the spatial based methods. Okay, so when you apply the same image with a special frequency domain, then you also apply the what we call the same image with the spatial domain. So now at the end of the day, you will have two different output images, right? One from the frequency domain and another one from spatial domain. So what you can do is, although you can what we call combine them together, or you can have another what we call another method that can integrate these two outputs to become one output. So because now when you apply the frequency domain, it will help you to improve the quality or the contrast of the texture and image, the edges. While for the what we call for the spatial domain, it helps you to basically enhance the overall contrast, overall entropy, overall details. So when you combine them, at the end of the day, you will have both what we call the global good quality, the good quality of the global image, and also a good quality of the local image. Local image meaning that you specifically enhance the details, the structure, and so on. But for the spatial, it's more on the overall picture of the image. So by combining these two, is basically you do this what we call the two processes. Either it's locally by using the frequency domain, and globally by using the spatial domain. Okay, so it can be done for me. But as I mentioned to you, when you have two different what we call methods, and you want to combine that at the end of the day, so it must be the combination to have to be do perfectly lah. Otherwise, you will have the very awkward. Because you have two different images, you want to combine them together. So at the end of the day, it's not just you combine. There will be an integration here and there. There must be a linking, a mapping between the first image and the second image. You cannot just do the simple combination by average what we call by averaging their pixel intensity. It will not work. Okay, Dolly. So you have to, when you have two different outputs, then you have to integrate them, but it's not simply combine them. So there must be what we call the processes in order for you to combine these two. But
So-
based on my experience, I think this will help to improve your quality of images. Okay, if you do both frequency domain and spatial domain processes.
Okay, so you mean, Prof, each frequency domain and spatial domain has advantage and can be used to complement each other.
Yes, correct. You are correct. Exactly. Okay? Because some criteria can be only handled by the spatial domain, but another criteria only can be handled by the frequency domain. So that's why if you combine them together, they will be a perfect match lah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for your answer.
Okay, excellent answer from Professor Nur Asidi. And we have question in chat room. Agung Mulya Widodo. Actually, he is my friend in Taiwan, and he's PhD candidate.
Oh,
Maybe in this August, he will do the final defense.
Oh, okay. Good luck to Bapak Agung.
Okay, Dr. Candidate Agung Mulya Widodo, could this method be implemented to the radar images or LiDAR image, Professor?
Okay.
The application, yeah.
Okay, Bapak Agong, basically, as I mentioned to you, based on our techniques, we have applied to several types of images. We have the microscopic images, which is by using the sperm image, by using the cervical cell images to detect the cervix cancer. And also we apply to the satellite image, also the aerial image by using drone camera taken from the drone. And then we also apply to the what we call the underwater camera to take the underwater images. And then also for the normal image by using normal camera and also by using our smartphone. So basically we have tested these techniques with several images, several types of images. Then it seems that it works. But for some types of images, we need to do the fine tuning. Because if you refer to because every types of image is basically they have their own characteristic. They have their own unique characteristic, and because of this own unique characteristic, so the algorithm need to be refined or need to be retuned somewhere here and there. Okay, so parameter is sometimes have to be set lah, or to be modified a little bit here and there. Okay, so but basically that's the beauty. So now that's one of the challenges now we have to do, where we have to develop a system or method that can be applied to any types of images. So that's quite challenging lah, because it is very difficult for you to have one general methods which can be used for any types of images. But I believe that for the radar images and lidar images, basically it can be done, but you have to suit the parameter of the methods to your image characteristic, because every image have their own characteristic. So you have to make sure that what are the characteristic, and sometimes because of for example, let's say for my methods, our methods, we are using the intensity, entropy, and also the other one is the contrast. But maybe some of your image, maybe the radar image or lidar image, these three characteristics is basically cannot represent that image type. So you have to use another another features or another characteristic. Okay, so that's why you need to first, before you using the methods, you need to analyze the types of the images that you want. Either it is basically what are the features that strongly what we call be the character for that particular image. So this characteristic is basically have to be implemented in the region determination in order to detect the region first before we do the contract enhancement. Okay, so you have to make sure that what are the important characteristics for that particular types, and then implement to the what we call the methods. Okay, Pak Agong?
Okay, Pak.
Question?
Yes, thank you, Professor.
Welcome.
Okay, we move to another question from the floor, maybe. Is there any question? Is there any question from the participant? No question, maybe. Or maybe me for the final question. How about the implementation, Professor? When you combine this pre-processing into the AI model, is there any improvement? How much improvement?
Okay. So as I mentioned to you, now we are trying to detect the defect of the electronic equipment. Okay, so I have 3 students now who are focusing on detecting the defect from the electronic device images. Okay, so we have 2 types of data set. The first one is basically the data without the enhancement. Okay, and the second one is basically the data with the enhancement. And the AI that we use to detect the defect is basically CNN, conventional neural networks. We have the ResNet, DSN as well. There are several deep learning networks that we are using in order to detect what we call the defect. So when we have these two what we call data sets, so what we, at the end of the day, the classification or the accuracy of the classification or detection is basically improved by between 4 to 6%. Okay, so it seems that the image enhancement is basically do help in highlighting the defect. Okay, when this contact enhancement are able to highlight the defect clearly, then when this image what we call given to the deep learning, so deep learning can train more faster and more intelligent, and they could this deep learning can able to what we call detect more defects correctly as compared to the one without the enhancements. So it's basically that's the importance of the pre-processing is basically. So that's why we have to make sure that the input to be fit to our AI in order to do the classification should have a good contrast and a good quality. Because when we're able to enhance the features that we want for this particular case is basically the defect. If the pre-processing is able to enhance to clearly show the defect, where are the defects, then the DSN will be easy for the DSN to do the classifications. So that's why the image processing is basically have to go together with the AI in order for you to have the complete automation system. Okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Nur Ashidi. Do you have any conclusion remarks?
There's no more. Once again, I would like to. I'm happy because I able to share with you my knowledge. So thank you very much for UMI. You keep what we call inviting me to USC. Thank you for keep inviting me to share my knowledge with all of you. So I love to do that, and basically I love to be in UMY because you guys is very sporting and very. So last time I went there, so I have a very good feedback, good what we call a positive feedback from staff from UMI. So I'm so happy and I'm so glad to be one of you guys today. So thank you very much once again, and I hope that I still can see you face to face, in physical face to face. We have a long chit chat, a very detailed chit chat later. Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Nur Ashidi.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
Maybe I will return the session to the MC.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Karisma Trinanda Putra, for the moderator task. Ladies and gentlemen, there is several information about ICE3IS and ICI-TAMEE that will be delivered by Dr. Yesi Jusman, LSD MSc. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hello, all participants, also all lecturer of Faculty Engineering, and also all students in Faculty of Engineering. First, this is my what we call information about the two conference that ICITAMEE, and also that we will do this conference at the 20 until 21 July, and this conference have important dates. Maybe it is will see in this website that all participants still can submit a paper and in the EDAS until 25 June. 25 June, so still have 2 days for the keynote for the what we call scientific committee, we have many scientific committee from 5 oceans, many countries. We have more than scientific committee, scientific committee from we have more than 300 scientific committee, and of course the review of the paper, maybe some papers will get many review from reviewers, because we assign the one paper to 10 reviewers in order to get valuable contribution, and also valuable what we call important to improve the paper. And I hope all participants can address the what we call the review of the comment of the reviewers. We provide a form, and you can also submit to the EDAS to address the comment of reviewers. And we this is important. We will share about the publication. For this third publication of ICIT-MEEE, we still publish in AIP, American Institute Proceeding. For the ICA3IS, Mas Rohmat, this is still have a long time. If ICIT-MEE website of ICE3IS, Mas, still have many time to submit to ICA3IS. This is a conference of electrical and informatic, and also computer science intelligent system scope. And this proceeding will publish to other publisher, not to AIP, but we will publish to the IEEE Explorer. If a paper get a result accepted. For this conference, both of conference, we have decide conditionally accepted before accepted. So if you get the conditionally accepted decision, don't be sad. It's mean your paper need to be improved, and it will possible to be accepted like that. The important time, and also the scientific committee in this field, also we get more than 300 expert from 5 oceans, alhamdulillah. And also it will be make you get also more than 4 review result, and don't be what we call you have to excited because you get more comments from the expert like that. And maybe you also, I see there are more than 5 until 10 until 8 comments from different reviewer also we see in some papers like that. So don't be sad, and just address the comment, and fill the comment, the revision in the review form, what we call response to the review comment like that. Okay, I think that is the for the IC the process, the author need to wait for the PDF Express. We will share as soon as possible. So just wait and do the revision if you have you get the review decision. Okay, thank you. Mas Rahmat, this is our previous videos for IC-A3IS and also the other video from previous ICE3IS. IC-ATMEE 2020, 2020, yes, 2020, we published in the IEEE, and for the second, we published to the AIP, and now that are in progress to publish. The authors have done and also doing the copyright now, and we will publish as soon as possible. It is need you to know about the publication in the AIP. Need time to wait. The time for waiting the publication. It is more than 6 months. I'll tell. This is normal for the AIP process, like that. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, next Mas for the
mechanical, electrical, biomedical, and informatics engineering, computer science and technology.
Okay, maybe we proceed to IC-A3IS. Okay. This is the second, first IC-A3IS 2021, and it is the proceeding has published in IEEE Explorer at December 2021, and also have indexed in the Scopus at February, published in IEEE Explorer December, the end of December, and indexed in Scopus at February for the IEEE IC-E3IS conference. Okay, maybe
the manuscripts will be published in IEEE Explorer. This year we have received 45 papers written by authors from the following 11 countries: Czech Republic, USA, India.
Okay, in the middle, Mas, in the middle of video. Okay, thank you for the attention, and thank you Prof. Nur Ashidimat Isa, and also thank you for Bapak Karisma. I give to the MC. Okay, next Intan.
Sorry, Dr. Isi, any question from chat box?
Sorry, I want to ask for Chitame Committee. I refresh started July. But after I check the submission channel, the final upload of the manuscript could not longer. Oh, okay. Revise LOA. Oh, okay. We will set for the final uploading manuscript. Now it is closed, but we will setting because we extend the date. We extend the date until 25. So after this, I will set the extended for the final upload of manuscript. How long we have submitted the revised paper, including the justification for review comment? When and how we know the status of the paper? Okay. Submit and revise paper. Oh, this is conditionally accepted. But Mr. Pramod, your paper is conditionally accepted. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, for the conditionally accepted, you have submitted the revised paper. For the revised paper, if you get the conditionally accepted status, you must email to a certain email that we have sent to you. Have you emailed the revised paper? We have sent it already. Oh, sent to email. Okay. If you send to email, so my staff will update to the EDAS and assign to other reviewer to check your paper in this final revised form, like that. So you just waiting, and I will give a decision until we get the review comment. If you have the positive comment, we start to this send decision at 10 July. We will start to give the decision at 10 July, like we state in the website. Yeah. Okay, because we have we still waiting for the paper until 25, 2 days more. So the decision will start at 10 July, or maybe started early maybe 5 or July, based on the review review result for the reviewer. Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Pramod. Also, Mrs. Priti, you also the conditionally accepted, right? So we have assigned to other reviewer to get a positive comments based on your final manuscript that you have revised. So after this, just waiting for the email from EDAS to decision of your paper. Okay. Okay, thank you. Intan, monggo.
Thank you, Dr. Yesi Jusman, STMSC, for the information. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we arrived at the end of the webinar. For documentation purpose, we will take some picture for latest one. Please open your camera, and I will count 2, 3.
Banyak udah open kok, Intan? Udah open semua? Udah banyak yang open kameranya?
Belum sih, Bu.
Oh iya, tunggu sebentar. Oke, okay. one minute. Oke. Okay. 1, 2, 3, Intan.
Once again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you for all your participation in this webinar. Allow me to conclude this webinar ceremony by reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Prof. Nur Ashidi. Thank you, everyone.
Wassalamualaikum
Thank you.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum. Bye.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Pak Agung, Pak Iswanto. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Makasih Bu Yesi.
Sama-sama, Pak.